episode of the InNOLEvation Mindset podcast powered by the Moran College of Entrepreneurship. I am Mark McNees, your host. And in studio today, we have Matt Liebman, and he is correct me if I'm wrong, the founder and CEO of Emergent Media Company. Is that
Yes.
perfect? Perfect. Well, thanks for coming in, Matt, and tell us a little bit about your company to get us started.
So I'm Matt. We started Emergent. Actually, I started a media agency in college, and we were doing a lot of like local hospitality companies, the local bars, the fraternity and sorority kind of scene. And then when I graduated and I wanted to move back to South Florida, we kind of rebranded the company. We wanted to have a more upper echelon type of feel, attract higher end clientele, and so we rebranded as Emergent Media. And here we are.
Nice. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. So, you went to FSU. When were you there, and what did you study?
So I was there from 2019 to 2023. I started actually as a political science major because I went to Tallahassee because I thought I was going to go to law school. And because in high school, I did a lot of debate. I was on the debate team. And so I started poli sci. And I think I had a different kind of idea what political science was. I thought we were going to learn about a bunch of different governments and learn about more world politics. But it was more like at least the initial classes was more like theorem and stuff like that. And so I wasn't as into it as I thought I was. And in high school, I actually started a club. I brought the Habitat for Humanity chapter to my school. And I loved the process of getting the club chartered, starting a company, or not a company, but an organization, getting people involved behind a common mission. Like I really liked that process and that challenge. And so when I went back to the college, I wanted to kind of find that similar kind of setup. And so when I got to college, I needed to make a little bit of money. And I didn't really want to work at Starbucks or Chick-fil-A or do any of the traditional jobs that I can get. And so in high school, I took a lot of videos and photos for the club and stuff like that. And so when I went to college, I found another way to make money doing that. And so I started making a little bit of money, and then I decided, okay, we should start a brand and incorporate. And so we took those steps to do that, and then little by little, we've kind of grown, and here we are today.
Very nice. So, what did you end up graduating in?
Yeah, and okay, so then I started the organization, and I love that. And so I realized, okay, I really like entrepreneurship. I like starting companies, and so someone told me they're like, you should change your major to business. And I felt like, okay, well, everyone just has a basic, business degree. I want to do something different. And someone told me about the Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship, and I loved it, and I loved the fact that you got taught by professors that are actually been successful entrepreneurs myself. And I thought that was really interesting because the one thing that I felt when I was in the political science major, I was taught by all these professors, but they didn't have any real world experience on talking about the things that they were going. When we talk about political science, they weren't there at the political summits negotiating and debating about these topics. But when I
Right.
sat in the classroom in the Jim Moran school, getting taught by people that are actually were in the mud, so to speak, and we're actually building businesses and going through those motions, I felt like I could learn a lot more. And so that's when I decided that, okay, I think this is the best path for me to take. And looking back now, it really was the best path that I could take. And having professors like you and other professors in the college have not only just I was able to learn the lessons that they taught in the classroom, but they became great mentors and have helped me along the way, which I think that's money that there's no value to put on that. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, you hit on one thing that I think makes the Jim Moran College really special is just about everybody who teaches there has been an entrepreneur, has been in the mud, as you said, or in the trenches, and has gone through it and scaled and sold companies and things like that. I remember when I was in business school, I always really liked professors who had actually been out there and have done it, and it wasn't just theory to them. So that's cool to hear. So 2019, so you had a year or so remote because of COVID, right?
Yeah, so my freshman year, we started and I had all of fall semester and it was great and I did everything. I rushed a fraternity and I was having a great time. I was really getting involved in everything. And then basically spring semester happened. We had the first part of spring. We went away in spring break. And then after spring break, we all got sent home and then we were home till the summer and then the following fall we actually went back. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that was trying times on everybody, students, teachers, everybody in the world. That was a wild time, but you got through it. So that's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about your background and where you originally from. What kind of upbringing did you have, and did you have entrepreneurial influences in your life?
okay, I'm from I was born in Miami Beach. I was born at Mount Sinai Hospital on the beach, and I lived there for about 2 years. My dad's side of the family is from Miami, and my mom's side of the family is New Jersey. And to give you a context, my dad is an executive in the broadcasting media space, and my mom, she's an
Okay.
occupational therapist. So I was born in Miami Beach, sunny South Florida, and I lived there till I was about 2. And then my dad got an opportunity to go work for the Today Show in New York. So
Wow.
when I was 2, we moved to New Jersey to be with my mom's family. And my dad worked in the city and he would commute back and forth between New Jersey and New York. And then when I was 4, so fast forward another 2 years, it was I would never see my dad because he would wake up super early to catch the train to go to Manhattan. Then he would come back super late, go to bed, and it was like just this process where I didn't get to see him a lot. And I was 2 and 3 years old. I don't remember this, but this is what my parents would tell me. And my dad wanted to see us a little bit more and get other opportunities. So he actually got an opportunity to work for the Washington Post in Detroit at their local TV station um, called Local 4. And so when I was 4, we picked up again and we moved to Michigan. And I lived there for about 9 years. And that's most of my childhood. That's what I remember most about living in Michigan. And I went pretty much preschool and elementary and up until 7th grade in middle school. And then, and I love Michigan. I'm a big Michigan guy. I say that I'm a Floridian because I say, I think it's a little bit cooler to say, oh, I was born in Miami Beach, right on the ocean, you
Yeah.
know. But most of my friends are like, no, 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 you're a Michigander, you're from Michigan, you were raised there most of your life. But it's a heated debate. And then right before 8th grade, so the summer after 7th grade, my dad got a job to be the director of news operations for Telemundo. And so we moved back down to South Florida, and my family uh, got a house in Weston. And so I went 8th grade at Falcon Cove, and then I went to high school at Cypress Bay High School. And then, of course, college, I went to FSU. And then after college, I moved back down to South Florida to kind of get started on the business.
Right on. How much do you think your dad's just career path influenced what you're doing today?
I think tremendously. I think he had I look up to him in a lot of ways, and seeing him in his career and his career path, I think definitely inspired me a lot to start the business and so on and so forth. He actually bought me my first camera. The story about how I kind of got started it to build this business is that so basically my family sent me off to college, right? And they were like, okay, in high school we paid for your car, we paid for everything. You didn't have to pay for anything, but because I have a twin sister, my twin sister went to USF, and so they basically told us, hey, we're not going to pay for 2 different cars, and you guys are not going to split this car because it'll just be too much of a hassle to figure out what weekends we get it or months or semesters. So they said, listen, we're gonna sell the car and you guys are going to have to figure out how to pay for a car if that's what you wanted, right? So I'm like, okay, all right. So we got to figure out how I'm going to get around. And at first I was like, okay, I'm not going to need a car, freshman walking around. But after a while, I was like, okay, I really do need a car to get around. And so basically, I got a job working for a company at FSU with my friend Derek Scheinberg. We got a job working for this marketing company called Top Tier. I don't know if you've heard of it. They were like a marketing company where basically they would partner up with like local bars and nightclubs in Tallahassee, and they would help pack out the club or bar at night. And so me and my roommate, we thought, okay, we're gonna get a job here. You can get free admission if you sold like a certain amount of tickets. And we're like, okay, we're freshmen. Everyone wants tickets to these events. Like, this is gonna be great. We get to skip the line, the whole thing. So I started working there, and it was great, and I made a little bit of money. But one night I saw this individual walking around this bar with a camera, and she was having the best time. She was partying, she was having fun, she was taking pictures, and I was like, "There's no way this person is getting paid to do it." And from my friend, I found out that okay, she was making money doing this, and she was having the best time. And I said, "Okay, this is a great job to have in college. You get a party, you get to be with your friends, and you get to make money while doing it." So long story short, I got put into a good position where this person that I saw was actually graduating that next semester. And I put my name into this guy. His name was Caden McLaughlin. He actually went to FSU, and he was like running the operation at the time. And I said, "Hey, I want to do this. I did photo and video experience in high school. Kind of give me like a shot. What do I have to do to do this?" And he's like, "Okay, you need to come to the shoot. You're going to do this test shoot, and we're going to see how it goes." And long story short, they loved the shoot, and they offered me the job in the spring. So I started doing it. I loved it. It was a great time. But then, of course, COVID happened, right? And I was just doing the marketing for all these venues, and of course, they were all closed during the pandemic. But I saw an opportunity because everyone was at home and they were consuming content, and I saw like these major influencers having real success in the pandemic. And so I got together a couple buddies of mine who were also kind of doing the same thing and at the same place in FSU. I said, "Hey, let's start a brand. And we won't just market ourselves as, okay, we just take photos in nightclubs or bars. We do a lot more. We can work on these large campaigns with big brands. We can help manage social media accounts. We could do the website and SEO and really create a full service marketing." Because I said, I feel like we're in more demand ever right now, but yet because we're put into this niche of, okay, these are the nightclub bar, kind of content creators, we had a tough time. And at that time, it didn't matter. We were like, okay, we're on basically summer break, so it's okay. But I said there's a lot of opportunity, so we got together, and that's kind of the start of it.
Nice. So when you think about your business now, like what is your niche and like what's your bread and butter?
So we describe ourselves as a multimedia powerhouse, and we've designed ourselves in a way where we call it we're able to scale up and we're able to scale down. So when we say what we're able to do when we scale up, we're able to work on these large commercial productions. Like for example, right here, if you see that tennis ball right there.
I do.
So we just finished shooting a commercial for Taylor Fritz and Head Tennis. And we worked in collaboration with this company called Palm Tree Crew to do, a large scale commercial. Basically, Palm Tree Crew has an apparel company, a part of their holding company. And Kygo, which is one of the big partners in Palm Tree Crew, is friends with Taylor Fritz, and he was coming out with a new racket. And so we got asked to do the launch content to launch this new racket with collaboration with Palm Tree Club and Head Tennis. And so we could handle that was like a 15-person crew and multiple day shoots, and it was pretty labor intensive, as well as we also scaled down. So we work with a lot of companies to handle all their social content. Every single month, we're put on retainer with a bunch of companies to help them with small like social videos, whether it be UGC content, shot on the iPhone, or whether it be the more of the highest scale production stuff. And so we can do those both things. And like we just did, I don't know if you can see too, we just have a picture over here. But if you could see right here, we did a commercial for Zandra, who I don't know if you know her story, but she has a really cool story. We're the same age, but she went to the University of Miami with I'm sure you heard of the Alex Earl. I don't know if they're two big influencers, and they both went to University of Miami, and they kind of blew up a line doing these whole "get ready with me" videos. And Zandra lives in here, and we became friends with Joe, one of her managers. And so we got to do that music video. And that was like a 25-person crew, multiple day shoot. And so it gives you kind of like the grasp of breadth. Like how we feel is the media landscape is changing. Like a lot of the times you have production companies that were just worked on these large budgeted projects
Mhm.
and they didn't focus on the social focused audience. And so we feel like the future is driven more toward the social aspects. And so we want to equip ourselves to be able to do both.
That's incredible. That's really interesting. Ha- Have you, I'm thinking about your political background and stuff like that. Have you been able to pick up any political clients?
So we do stuff with the Florida Realtors Association, which actually this is a cool story. So basically, this is the senior year of college, and and I got a text from someone, one of my friends. She was like in a sorority, right? Delta Gamma, and she said, "Hey, I have this friend. She's asking who does like our sorority recruitment videos." And I said that you do them. I'm connecting you. I don't know what she does. And this was Ashton Musgrove. She was a part of the Florida Realtors Association and still is now. And so she said, "Hey, we have this big event going on in Tallahassee, which they do it every single year. I want you to come and film it." And so we filmed it. Everything went really well. And they're one of our first kind of big clients. And it progressed where now we work with them on a monthly basis. And they're very involved in politics because they do a lot of lobbying efforts and are a real big voice for the realtors in Florida to push their agenda. And so through there, we've got a lot of cool opportunities with them. Janessa Casanova, who's like kind of our main point of contact, she has us come out to a lot of the political events. This year we've helped film Governor DeSantis. We went for a week-long trip in Washington D.C. because they do big events there. We met with a bunch of legislators to talk about the realtors agenda. And so that has been really cool. This past weekend, we sent out a team to Houston, Texas, where they filmed a bunch of things out there with a bunch of representatives. And so from that point, it's been really cool. Really cool.
That's pretty awesome. So it sounds like a lot of your business is referral, or how are you building your business?
So a lot of it is very much referral. Our kind of goal is to create a more impactful sales funnel. Like this past year, we've worked with a couple people to help get our CRM set up, start launching ads. So we do a little bit of the ad buying side, but mainly it's been word of mouth. Our Instagram and social presence has really allowed us to scale, and that's been mostly where the sales have been coming from. But we want to get more aggressive in that. We do a little bit of like ad buying on Meta and Google, and we do some like paid sponsorship on some other platform, but mostly it's been through referrals.
You mentioned earlier SEO, and I've been talking to a lot of people about how SEO is becoming less important because of AI and AI integration into everything. What's your thoughts on AI, and has that impacted your business?
I think we haven't felt as much of an impact yet, but I think I predict that we're going to have much of an impact in the future with the rise of these platforms like Sora, where we were talking to a buddy. We have a guy who does all our VFX, and he's out in Pakistan. And he's telling me that he's felt a real impact with these AI generated videos. And so our goal is to make us equipped for that. Instead of being scared, okay, we need to figure out how to beat AI. We're focused on, okay, how do we join AI, or how can we integrate AI into our workflow? Right now, our editors and our team is learning how to use those products, integrate them into our videos. I think the little edge that we have is we do a lot of like event recap kind of style things and a lot of more interview style stuff. And so I think because that's really about showing emotion and sitting down, showing the more human side of things, I think it'll help us be a little resilient to certain changes that AI will face. But I know on the bigger productions and even some of our clientele today, they ask us, "Hey, instead of paying all this money to have this whole day of shooting and 3 weeks of editing. Hey, can we just simplify this with AI? And so we've done certain things to help that and to bring down the cost, not only for us, but with other people. And we've integrated into stuff like when we were editing, like we've had some retainers where we've edited podcasts actually, and we've used it to help speed up the editing times and use it to cut things. I think there's a lot of things that need to be caught up in terms of the media space with the AI, but I think it could really enhance a lot of things, like even just automating workflows. Like we had a meeting last week with an individual where he just focuses on integrating AI to to handle all your processes and systems and workflows. And so we're trying to figure out how we can implement that, which because right now we feel there's a lot of back and forth and manual labor when dealing with our project managers. Like when a project comes in, our project managers have to meet with the client, they have to make all the links to the content, they have to communicate with the contractors that we're hiring. And so we're trying to figure out how to automate those processes to take less time out on the project manager. And so she's been helping us kind of figure out how we can integrate those things.
Nice. Yeah, I know for us in the Innovation Mindset podcast, we've integrated a lot of AI tool, especially in the editing process, and then definitely helping us make reels or shorts out of long form content, things like that. That's really helped us grow the podcast. So that and a lot of people ask me, does AI save you time? And I tell them it doesn't save me any time, but it frees up time that I can do more creative things and have better outcomes of the products that we're putting.
Exactly, yeah, and that's how we feel the same way. It's like our we feel like our real value is giving clients that strategy in terms of, okay, what videos are gonna perform well? How can we help them go viral? And a lot of times we get so caught up in those mundane tasks of, okay, scheduling the shoots, making sure they go well, working on the changes on revisions with the video with clients, where we don't have a lot of times to really sit back and look at the bigger picture and how can we strategize with our clients to help them have content that's gonna help them really elevate their marketing and their reach from a digital presence perspective.
Nice. So tell me, who's a client out there who would never think about using a service like yours, but you look at them and say, wow, I could really help this business scale or grow or whatever, get more customers?
That's a good question. I think any I think a lot of the times any service-based businesses, they don't think they could be clients and they really are. Like this is not even a service-based business, but okay, I'll give you an example. Maybe this will help answer the question. We sat down last week at the corporate headquarters with It's a 10 hair care. I don't know if
I don't know
they're
them, but okay.
they're like a big hair care brand. And we just shot they came out, they have multiple brands. So they have It's a 10 hair care brand, they have It's a Cloud hair care brand, and they just launched Fast Hair Care, which is basically like this regenerative help your hair grow kind of brand. And they had Isabel Stranahan as kind of the spokesperson, face to the brand. And Isabella, I don't know if you know, she just had cancer, so she lost all her hair, and so they felt like she was the perfect spokesperson to use the products, really see how it can transform someone, and so she was kind of the spokesperson. And we did the whole campaign for them. It launched about 2 weeks ago with People Magazine and went really well. And after that campaign, we were talking to their social team, and they were like, wow, you guys were great to work with. Everything was great. How can we work with you guys more on a consistent basis? And what we found is that a lot of clients that have full media and marketing teams who would think, well, we have this all done in house. Why would we need to partner with an agency? They've been the ones that have actually seen the most value in it. Because I think a lot of the times when companies have these in-house marketing teams, they can't be as dynamic and versatile, right? They only have the time to work with the people that are on their team. We have an advantage where we have a full team of photographers, of editors, of videographers, and we have such a large team where we're not constrained by 5 people's work days and work hours. We can
Right.
basically work around the clock, handle larger campaigns, smaller campaigns, and also too, companies like it because it's not like they add another W-2 to the books. They can sign a retainer, they can save a little bit money in that aspects, and they have a whole team behind them. Instead of hiring 12 more editors, put them on payroll, 20 more videographers, have them on payroll, they can hire us, they pay one set amount every single month, and they get access to all this talent. And I think companies really like working with us because of they get access to all this talent. Where we felt, okay, well, we're a marketing advertising company. We help companies manage their socials, but we've seen a lot of companies like working with us because they get access to the talent, which is kind of a byproduct from doing the marketing and advertising well and managing these productions for these clients. So it's been really interesting. So like when we met with them, that's what they pointed out. They were like, hey, for all these bigger shoots, we only have so many people and so many things are going on that sometimes there's shoots that we can't do or campaigns that we can't launch just because we don't have enough people in the office. And so they kind of wanted to talk to us about using us because they said, we'll just end up hiring contractors. But then they felt the thing that happens when they hire contractors is they hire different contractors for each shoot because not one of them is available all the time, or they have, all their clients they're dealing with. And so they wanted a company that they can kind of grow with to understand them, as well as know that they're going to get the consistent product every single time and not have to chase around contractors and deal with all that headache. So that's where we're kind of in talks now to hopefully, work with them on a more consistent basis.
Interesting. Is there a brand out there that you really respect and just like would love to work with them? Would just be like a dream come true?
Uh, It'll be two-part answer. There's one company that, well, we love all of our clients and we love all of our clients and all of them are amazing. But there's one client that we've actually had the opportunity of working with, and then I'll get to the dream client. But the one client that we've actually worked with that really is a dream for us has been Royal Caribbean. And it's a little full circle moment for myself because my parents met on a Royal Caribbean cruise while they were working on the cruise ship together. And so it's kind of a big part of my life. And so to get the opportunity to work with them, not only has that side of me has been really proud to tell my parents that we're working with them in this capacity, but on the other side of it is they're a really big inspiration. And I think right now Royal Caribbean has really been leaders in the cruise line industry with coming out with this icon class, with the creation of Coco K in the Bahamas and seeing that partnership and seeing how aggressive they are with scaling the company and creating these experiences on board the ships and in these vacation destinations has really been inspiring. And to get to work with them, to see inside their organization now how they operate, and for them to give us the opportunity to recap and tell the different stories on these different weekends has been incredible. And we've been able to travel all over the world with them, help launch every icon class ship so far, and it really has been a dream come true. And it's really cool. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
at my parents' wedding, they had an ice sculpture of a Royal Caribbean cruise.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so it's really cool. And my dad, so we just filmed the launch of the Star of the Seas, which is now the largest cruise ship in the world. And on one of the last days that we were filming this campaign for them, they did a fireside chat. Jason Liberty, which is the president, had a fireside chat with the previous president, Richard Fain. I blank on the name there for a minute. And after the talk, we filmed the talk and everything like that. But after the talk, I went up to Richard Fain and I said, hey, I want to thank you for everything. I know this might sound crazy, but I am a product of you. The fact my parents worked on a cruise ship, and the fact they were able to do that by a business that you help, lead. I'm here, my dad gave me a booklet of a picture of Richard Fain and from years ago with him, and they actually used to get their haircut at the same barber in South Miami, and so that was kind of like a real cool moment, and he was super nice about it. I'm sure he was like, who really is this guy? It was,
I'm
but
sure he loved it. I'm sure he
yeah,
loved it. And part two, the dream client.
yeah. Okay, so I think it would be really cool to work with Nike. I think they're always like one of those clients where, from a production perspective, if you say that you have that on their resume, you're doing something right. So I think it would be really cool to work on a campaign with them, and they have done some campaigns that are really innovative, that are really different, and have really pushed the envelope. And so I think getting to work with them would allow us to further find ways to be more creative and understand how they work on to create a large impact with the campaigns that they can create. So I think that would be a really ideal client.
Very cool. Very cool. So, starting a media company, like, what has been some of the surprises? Like, what has been one of the surprising challenges, and then what's been one of the surprising benefits?
I think that one of the benefits is that there's no really barriers to entry to start a media company in the space that we're doing it. If you really wanted to, you can tomorrow you can go on Sunbids, file an LLC, pick up a camera, and get a name, and you can say I'm Matt Liebman production companies. Like there really isn't that barrier, which has been an advantage because like for me just starting out, it's so quick to get started, and that's been an advantage, and not a lot of capital that's really needed.
Right.
But with that, not a lot of barriers to entry comes with a lot of headaches. So uh, in terms of navigating the headaches, I think the big thing that I've kind of learned over the last couple of years is when you're going into business with other people, it's really important to make sure that you're aligned on a lot of things. Make sure that you're aligned on the vision of the business and where the business is going, and understand that, hey, that might change, but make sure that we agree on the trajectory of the business, making sure that we have the same morals and values and characters that how we want to lead and from a work ethic perspective. So I think that is big thing to learn about partnerships and what does it mean to be have a partner in the business. And so that's been a big learning lesson for me. I think another thing has been management, managing a business, scaling a business. Because the thing that we do to scale it, it's very labor intensive. Because if you want to do more shoots and you want to make more money, okay, you need to hire more photographers, more videographers, more editors to edit that. You know what I mean? The more input of clients you have, the more output you have to have in terms of resources. So I think, and that's been a real balancing act. The to find the talent, and sourcing the talent, reliable talent has been difficult, and managing expectations with clients about deadlines and stuff like that has been a real challenge. And from a legal perspective, we can't, in order to scale the business, we can't, me and my partner, who I have another partner in the business, his name is Gonzalo, we can't go to every single shoot. We want to be, but we can't. And so we have
Right.
to send other contractors in our place to do these shoots. And there's a lot of liability with that because they get to be in the rooms with the clients, with other potential clients. And so we've had to learn a lot about how to protect your side from a legal perspective, making sure that those contractors and those people that are going in the shoots are signing the proper documents that protect us, as well as the same thing from the client side, that we have them also sign fail-safe agreements so they're not soliciting our other clients or soliciting our talent that we have. And it's been interesting to navigate those things. And I think for me, the media business is a very demanding business. And I've learned that from my father, especially because he's in the news business. If there's a news story that's breaking, he's there. And that was one thing that when I was growing up was very interesting, that at school, I knew that if I heard about some news of a shooting or, a coup in the Middle East or something, I knew that my dad wasn't coming home for a couple of days, which was always the case. And I've learned that here, when someone asks you to do a shoot, you're either equipped to do the shoot or you're not. And if you're not equipped and you can't handle things fast, then someone else is going to get that client, someone else is going to get that relationship. And so it's a very demanding business. And so that's why another things that I'm working now to start a couple other businesses too that that have a little bit different structure and model to get some time back. But and we can talk about that at the end. But yeah, that I would say is the big thing about starting a media company.
Thanks for sharing that. As you know, this podcast is called the Innovation Mindset. And what you probably don't know is I just came out with a new book called The CEO's Mindset Reset. I believe that CEOs, to be successful over the long haul, need different rituals in their life to get their minds right, because you can get lost in the daily duties, and it can become overwhelming, and to keep focused on the main goals and things like that. What are some mindset things that you do that keep you grounded and keep you focused on what you're trying to accomplish?
So so I go on runs, and it's funny that we talk about this because so my I'm oh I would like to look a little bit more fit, and I always tell my friends, I have a lot of friends that they're bodybuilders and weightlifters, and they got these great six packs and everything. So I'm always like, I want to do that, I want to go, and they're always like, all right, Matt, you got to stop running because supposedly, and I haven't really looked into the science behind it, but supposedly if you run, it burns like muscle or something like that. So like you got to cut out the running. But I tell them I can't cut out the running because it helps me so much, like from a mental perspective, that if I didn't run, and sometimes when I don't run, I kind of go a little crazy. And so that's the big thing. I go on runs. I probably need to go on more of them than I do, but I go on running. Lately, lately we've been doing prayer circles once in a while. So one thing that I've seen other people do in my girlfriend's family, who does this a lot, is they pray before meals, or they pray for things that they want or anything like that. And I really like that. And so I said, and they also pray to have gratitude and all these different things. And so I said, okay, we need to start doing that at the office. We need to pray for things that we want or goals that we have. And so Halloween was a big weekend for us. We did I think there's like over 20 shoots in one day. And so on that day, we had a prayer circle where we prayed for all the things that we wanted. And it's good because not only are we praying about it, but we're talking about these things, and I think it could be a little bit therapeutic in some ways. And so we do that. We try to, I don't know, I try to meditate some mornings and do breathing things. I don't do it every morning, but I try.
Nice. Well, thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of leaders use prayer to put things in perspective, and what you mentioned, gratitude and different things like that. So I appreciate that very much. Uh, where do you see your company going over the next several years? And uh, is there a point where something will happen, or a goal or something, where you're like, can say, hey, I'm running a successful media company?
So I would hope that we continue to scale, and we have big goals. And so I hope we continue to scale. And I hope how I see it, when you're running a successful business, meanings that you could put your head at night and the business will run by itself. And so that's something that I think we're not quite there yet and that we're working to. And I think I've been doing this lately is we set big goals for our company. This year we had a big goal in terms of what we wanted to do revenues wise, and we were able to achieve that finally in Q4, which is really big for us. But I think a lot of the times too is I was talking about this with my partner and our team members the other day, is that we're so focused on, okay, once we hit this big goal in terms of revenue or ideal client, then we're going to be happy.
Mhm.
And I think it creates a culture where nothing is enough. And so we kind of have this talk where we're like, okay, we need to set those goals. We need to achieve them because, we're building a business at the end of the day. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's about the bottom line. It's about making money. It's about being profitable. But from a culture perspective, we're like, listen, if we're making money, if we're being profitable, if we're working with these clients, like Royal Caribbean and the Hard Rock and Groot Hospitality and all these things that, okay, a year ago we would be over the moon if they were even just having a meeting with them. That is amazing. And so I think we've really focused on, okay, we need to have gratitude for where we are right now and where we're going. And so that's a big thing. Is like, we're like, okay, we are successful right now, but we definitely want to continue on the trajectory that we are to be more successful, to get it to a point where, okay, we're not waking up to calls every hour of the day and being a part of the day to day as much. And so I think that's really, really our goal. And yeah, so hopefully we get to work with Nike in the future. Hopefully we can continue to scaling, and we do 2x the revenue goal that we did this year. Hopefully we can continue to grow a team that likes to come to show up to the office every single day. Hopefully we continue to have a good reputation, and the clients continue to come with us from this word of mouth basis. And hopefully that only ramps up when we get this kind of sales funnel and marketing funnel dialed in, and that's hopefully what we can ask for. And then for myself is I have this big goal for myself that I want to own other businesses. So I think one day, hopefully in the near future, be able to get to do that as well.
Nice. So I like to end each podcast asking my guest one question. And the question is, Matt, if you could go back and tell yourself only one thing before you started your company, what would that one thing be?
That it's going to be okay. So don't leave sleep over the things that you can't control. And then also say that it's definitely going to be a lot harder than you think.
Great. Well, that's a great to finish on. I really appreciate your time, and much success to you and your company and your future companies. And I really do appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So thanks for tuning in to another episode of the InNOLEvation Mindset podcast, powered by the Jim Moran College of Entrepreneurship. Hey, if you like this episode, please drop us a like and be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss another amazing episode. Hey, and if you need some social media content or filming or any media company help, be sure to check the show notes so you can reach out to Matt and get the best that Miami has to offer. There we go. There's the logo. So do it. Hey, we'll see you guys next time.